Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Homeschool Movement channel. As a teacher who has taught in the UK and the Middle East, I truly believe that you should homeschool your children, and today I'll be going through 10 reasons why. Reason 1. Values. The first and most important reason for any Muslim to homeschool their children is due to the conflict of values, which may be worse than you realize. For example, at a government-funded Church of England school, I personally witnessed a Muslim girl who was about to participate in a Christian communion ritual before I stopped her, all because the pastor had implied that all the students had to take part. Similarly, I have been in a normal Muslim majority state school where a teacher defined sacred as something you can't live without. For example, the Quran and the Bible. Then he went on to ask the students what else they considered sacred that they couldn't live without, such as parents and siblings, and thereby confusing the children in terms of their religion. Even within primary schools, your kids are being taught how humans evolved from monkeys, while Islamic and other faith narratives of how creation began are taught as equally valid, with only the atheistic explanation being viewed as factual. So who do your kids believe? You, the imam, or the teachers that you sent them to? Maybe you have recognized this, so you've sent your kids to an Islamic school. However, regardless of whether your children are in an Islamic, state, grammar or private school, as a teacher I'm going to explain to you why you may be destroying your children's future. Reason 2. Mandatory curriculum. The purpose of getting a good education is so that your children can get a good job. Keeping this in mind, you need to realize that as teachers, we don't have a choice regarding what we teach your children. This is set by the government through the national curriculum. However, this is a major problem. Let me ask you, when was the last time you impressed your colleagues due to your knowledge of Picasso? Or landed that dream job thanks to what you had been taught about Henry VIII? That is because most of what you have learnt isn't actually useful in real life. But it gets worse. There may be whole subjects that you don't want your children to learn. In a given week, students may learn music, drama and citizenship. Subjects that at best does nothing to prepare them for the modern workplace or is a lesson dedicated to haram practices. That's at least 3 hours wasted per week or almost one learning day. Reason 3. General, not specific. I've already explained how almost a day is wasted due to the teaching of certain subjects, but the reality is much worse. Secondary education is 5 years in which your children will learn something about everything, but not everything about something. The problem with the traditional schooling system is that it causes your children to miss out on opportunities. For example, in PE, your child may learn skills in various sports, which may sound great. However, the problem with this approach is that your child's preferences and abilities aren't taken into consideration. Your child may have intense stamina and, if focused, could become an amazing athlete. However, they could also be one of those students who can miss an open goal. Benefits of being good at a particular sport includes a £6,000 grant when your child goes to university. It can also open professional opportunities for them, such as coaching. Similarly, let's take my subject of computer science as an example. Within computer science, you have hardware, software, storage, processing, networking, and programming. Then within programming, you have various programming languages. Now, to become an expert in one programming language, say Python, takes several years of practice, which can then lead to a job paying on average £70,000. However, in the traditional schooling system, instead of concentrating on one aspect, we teach everything to a very basic level. I personally believe that half of the things that we teach will have little to no value within a work environment. Reason 4. Disruptive behavior. Chances are your children are going to a non-selective school. This means that the school doesn't have a choice regarding which students they take in, which is problematic. You may have students in your kids' class who are dealing with serious issues, such as their parents getting divorced, being made homeless, going through bereavement because someone in the family has died or is seriously ill. Regardless of the reason, disruptive behavior always results in the same thing: your child's learning time being wasted. So given that your children are wasting time learning subjects that have no value, coupled with them having to learn material that will have little to no value within a work environment, all of this is then compounded by disruptive behavior. So as much as half the week may be wasted. All of which again is not an issue if you homeschool your children. Reason 5. Exam focused. Another reason that wastes more of your child's learning time. A good example of this is when in year 6, aged 11, your children do their SATs test. Prior to the test, the school spends several months gearing your children to make sure that they get a good grade. Why? What's its purpose? The answer is nothing. It's important for the school, for Ofsted, the organization that maintains school standards, and for the government, but not for you or your child. It isn't even used by the secondary school that your child will go on to. The reason for this is simple. The secondary school knows that the primary school has spent months ensuring your child gets a good grade. And if they accept this grade, then they will be under pressure to keep it up. They also know that after the SATs, the primary school changes its focus to the year 5 and the SATs that they will take the following year. This is then followed by the summer holidays in which your child will probably do little to no work. So if the secondary school tests your child again in October, then on average there will be 1 grade lower, which will mean there will be less pressure on the secondary school. Reason 6. Personalization. As a teacher, I have 22 classes per week. Do you think I have time to create extra help sheets for the less able students, or create harder questions for the more able students? Within a secondary context, I probably don't even know your child's name, even after having taught them for a few years. However, if you homeschool your children, then you will have the extra time needed to support them. You will know about their strengths, weaknesses, likes and dislikes, and can mold their learning appropriately. If your child is struggling in a particular area, you can spend more time, while I only have that one lesson before I have to move on. Reason 7. Timely feedback. Let me paint you a scenario. 30 students within a 60-minute lesson. Divided equally, how much time can I dedicate to a particular student? 2 minutes, right? Now this is oversimplified. In reality, some students will get more time, others less, and some will get none, especially within a secondary context where we don't even have a teaching assistant to support us. Timely feedback is near impossible due to the number of students. The only time all of the students will get feedback is when I mark their classwork, homework, or their test. This is not an issue if you choose to homeschool your children. Then you can give timely, effective feedback, even if it's as simple as telling your child an answer is wrong or what to do next. This is why homeschool children don't need to spend as much time on their education as traditionally schooled children. The next 2 points are reasons why some parents may wish not to homeschool their children. Reason 8. Teacher expertise. In reality, this is not an issue. You don't need to learn everything. All you need to do is direct your child so that they know where to go to learn. This could be a book, Google, YouTube, or a personal tutor. This is common sense. If you want to know how to change your car battery or replace the taps in your bathroom, how would you do it? Well, most of us will most likely find a YouTube video on how to do exactly that and then copy it. That's how we learn, and that's how your child learns. Reason 9. Socialization. As part of the education process, parents want their children to learn how to socialize. However, in our lives, whether within the family context or in the work environment, how often do we simply socialize with people who are in the same age group as us? Also, if your child is quiet, they will not necessarily socialize at school, while the teachers aren't going to spend time that they don't have helping the shy child come out of their shell. In reality, if you want your child to gain confidence and socialize, then you need to do that in a safe environment, like at home. When homeschooling, you can get your children to meet other kids by going to homeschool events or by joining clubs. Reason 10. Safeguarding. Another very important reason. We all know about the sex education push where our children's innocence is being attacked. On top of this, there are multiple other issues such as bullying, promiscuity, bad influences, social pressure, being exploited, or being introduced to drugs, alcohol, or cigarettes. However, you can protect your children from all of these by simply choosing to homeschool. So having watched the video, the question you may be asking is, how do I start homeschooling my children? All you need to do is notify the school and you can start homeschooling from the very next day. The local authority may arrange a visit, but this is just a formality and nothing to worry about. If you have made it this far and like me believe that Muslims must seek to create long-term solutions, then please join me in the homeschool movement by firstly making dua, subscribing, liking, hitting the bell icon so that you are notified of future videos. This way the video is more likely to be promoted by the algorithm, and thanks to you will be recommended to more people. Remember, one person does not make a movement, so please subscribe now.